What's the most important benefit you've gotten from being a church member, and what's the most important benefit you've gotten from being an apostate? Their words, not mine.
The biggest benefit of not being apostate is I don't have to hate myself into heaven anymore. That's nice.
Booyah!
Lucas, say hello, everybody. Say hello.
Hey, what's up everyone? It's Ex-Morgan with My Spiritual Life, and I have my husband Jared here. Today we are celebrating 3,000 subscribers. Woo! And not only that, but we're actually celebrating 1 year from the time I made my very first video. Now, I really didn't start posting videos regularly until April of 2019. But I did shoot my very first video a year ago, November 2018. And I just want to play you a little clip from that because I have come so far from then. But it's beautiful just watching it because, I don't know, it makes my heart happy. Like it was the beginning of this journey. I don't know what to say. Hello. Hi guys. Oh gosh, this just feels very awkward. I don't like being awkward. Well, I guess this is my vlog. This is really hard for me to say because I'm very afraid. But I am currently in the process of taking a step back from the religion that I grew up in, and I'm terrified. Funny thing about that video is a couple weeks after posting it, I actually took it down.
Yeah.
Because I was so like, I don't know, it was just so vulnerable and I was so nervous and everything. But anyway, I just this week put it back up because I'm like, no, there's a lot of people who need to see this. Like, who need to know, like, that it's okay to be falling apart when something like this happens.
I didn't know you took it down, like, for that long.
Yeah, I just put it up. Like, because I like, forgot about it. Because, you know, I've been focused on the more recent videos, but I realized that video only had 90 views because I only had it up for a couple weeks and then I took it down. Anyway, so go back and look that up if you want to. The link is in the description below, and just appreciate how far I have come since then. When I was watching that video this week, I was very much overcome with like, I just wanted to like hug little Morgan a year ago and be like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna get so much better. And also just like, I don't know, a lot of gratitude on my heart today. Just so exciting how far I've come, and with this channel and with you and our son. And like so much has happened in the last year. That's just so exciting. Anyway, so to celebrate all of these wonderful things, we are doing a Q&A video. So we are going to be answering questions that were submitted by you guys. And we got a lot, so we're going to have to try to go through these kind of quick. And for some that are more intricate, maybe we'll do a separate video talking more about some of these topics. Let's get started. First question. How did your parents, siblings, in-laws, and close friends take your decision to leave Mormonism? How is your relationship with them now? You want to start?
Oh, sure. I mean, I didn't really talk to them about it, really. They're all good. They're great. My mom, like, about a year ago, like, she knew, because I told her when I had questions about it, and she knows a lot of the crazy stuff.
Church history stuff.
Yeah, the church history stuff, and so we talked about it a bunch, and like a year ago, we hadn't really talked much about it. I got a text from her out of nowhere that was like, this really long. My mom doesn't text very often, but I got this really big wall of text that was her just saying, hey, I just want you to know I love my kids no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're Mormon or not. I just think you're a good person, and I'm proud of you. And I was like,
oh, it was sweet.
Yeah, so my family's great. I don't have any issue. My in-laws, shut
up. Oh, gosh.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, for me, with my family, there was a lot of disappointment initially and a lot of, like, you're not reading your scriptures enough and you're not praying to the right people. But it was really hard dealing with that disappointment and everything, but we've come really far since then. Like, I've worked really hard to try to mend those relationships. So I would say that overall, my family relationships are a lot better. It's still hard at times because we're not always on the same page and we're still learning how to navigate that. But I would say that my family is trying really hard to understand me, even though that's a difficult thing for them. Is that
yeah, no, your family's being really sweet to you. So
yeah, they've been like, you know, it's not like they're disowning me or not inviting me to family functions or things. Like, I think a lot of the issue really comes back to them, like, why can't you just leave quietly? Why do you got to put it on YouTube? And I'm like, well, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I get that. I don't blame you for being upset for that.
Well, I think to understand their reaction, people need to understand just how Mormon you were. So it's kind of
it's shocking.
I'm sure it was a huge, like, shock to them.
Yeah, I didn't do a good job of like letting them know where I was headed because I was so scared of telling them the truth, which was that I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And so anyway, long story short, my family is treating me very good right now, and I think it's only going to keep getting better. Like, we're just trying to talk through things and work through things and just have compassion for each other, and I think that's making all the difference. Mm-hmm. So, ding. At what age do you start wearing garments? Now, that's a little bit different for everyone because you start wearing garments once you, what they call, go through the temple. It's like you go through this special ceremony where, and it's kind of like you officially, I don't know, stepping into your Mormonism-ness. Trying to think about how to explain to someone who's not Mormon. But so it happened anywhere between 18 and 25, somewhere in there, usually right before you get married or right before you serve a mission, because that's you, like, committing to the service and everything.
Yeah.
How many pairs do Mormons usually have, pairs of garments?
Many as you want. I don't know. Just as many pairs as you would have of underwear.
Yeah, like 5, 8. How often do you do laundry?
2.
One for washing and one for wearing.
Yeah, they're kind of a pain because they're white and they just look disgusting so quickly.
They do. Well, that's the next question. Do you have to wash them separately? No, you don't have to, but they are going to get gross pretty fast if you don't wash them with just like whites. But I never washed them separate. I did when I was in college, and then we got married, and I was like, whatever, I'll just put it on cold.
Yeah, then all your garments are gray, and they look like they've been worn by somebody who never showers. After a while, and you're like, oh,
which
am
makes
I
sense
just
for
disgusting?
How do you wear garments in the summer when it's so hot? That was always a struggle. Like, I grew up in St. Louis, very hot, very humid there. So wearing garments was brutal. Although I guess I kind of was living here by the time I was wearing garments. Yeah. But whenever I'd go to visit, I was like, oh my goodness.
I'll tell you what, it sucks ass in Brazil.
That's where he served his 2-year mission. So he had to wear garments and suits.
You wear garment and a friggin' shirt, like a button-up shirt and tie. That collar, man, that would get sweaty as hell.
I bet.
But I did get a bunch of mesh pairs of garments. It looks all sexual. It's weird to wear. You had to. Like, I had that on my mission. You just get this mesh top and bottom. It looks like the shittiest lingerie ever.
Oh, that's so great. Okay, in your experience, do most Mormons adhere to the strict rules of wearing garments, or do you think most are more flexible? It just depends on the person. I feel like a lot of people I knew took it very seriously and tried to wear them as much as they could and would feel guilty if they weren't wearing them. But
it was pretty vague and ominous in the temple when they tell you to never alter your garments in any way. So it's like, that was confusing because, like, a lot of them are the crop top that go up to here, and, you know, I thought I wasn't allowed to show any of my garment, which is what the temple says. They say you're not supposed to show any of your garments, and then you ask some of the older members, like, there's no way to not show this crop top right here. They're like, oh, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Why is that not a big deal? That's
Yeah.
They told me that I was gonna go to outer darkness for this.
That's a good point. So I guess in some ways, like, people take it real seriously, but then in other ways they don't.
Yeah.
Because garments will often show, like, somehow, somewhere. Was it freeing to quit wearing them, or was it a struggle? Go ahead.
I think our answers are going to be opposite.
I know.
Yeah, I loved getting rid of them. It felt like there's just been a boot on my head pushing me into the dirt for a long time, and taking off the garments was very symbolic. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't need you anymore.
That's beautiful, actually. Yeah, for me, like, it was freeing once I got past the guilt. Like, I definitely felt really guilty when I stopped wearing them, but I was like, I remember being like, God, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't think these mean anything. I'm sorry if they do. I don't know. So it was hard for me, but then it was super nice, and now I love it. I'm like, oh, look, no garments. Like, I can wear shirts and not worry, like, oh, I gotta wear, like, another undershirt under this to cover the little pieces of garments that are showing.
Yeah, that was the worst part. You have to wear 2 undershirts.
That was rough for me. Yeah, that was...
You go out, if you ever wear, like one of those button-up flannel shirts and you leave it open like this, you'd have to wear an undershirt on top of your undershirt.
Yeah, it was... So that sucked. And again, like, no disrespect to anyone that loves their garments or whatever. Like, that's fine. But I think we can all agree that...
It's odd.
I think we can all agree that it's nice to not have to wear those. Assuming they don't have magical powers, of course. Explain dance cards. Is that a real thing? What other cards do you have? I don't know what a dance card is, but I want one. I'm assuming, like, no disrespect to who sent the question, I'm assuming this meant temple recommend?
Maybe.
Because that's a little card, like, it's like the size of a license, and it just says, like, yeah, you're qualified to go into the temple, which is, like, the place where the holy rituals take place, which is different than the church house. So, yes, it's a real thing. I'm still hoping dance cards are also a real thing, though. How is going to the temple better than going to the ward on Sunday? I guess it's perceived as better because, I don't know, it's just like it's the next step up. Like, anyone can go to church on Sunday, but you have to have special qualifications to be able to go to the temple. If you're setting your time aside to do that, then, like, you're doing some really righteous shiz, and that's, yeah, I don't know.
Well, plus, you only do the ritual for yourself one time. Every time you go after that, you do the same ritual, but you do it on behalf of people who are dead. So it's probably more important to Mormons because
they need salvation from you.
Yeah, you're actually saving people. You're granting people their exaltation and giving them a chance to accept Mormonism in the next life. So it's very important to them. It's more selfless, I suppose, than going to church on Sunday.
Right, which is more for yourself. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What part of Utah do you live in? I'm assuming you're in Utah.
We live in the Idaho part of Utah.
Yes, we do live in Utah, the Idaho part. Yeah, no, a lot of people assume we're in Utah because of the ex-Mormon scene and everything, but we're actually in Idaho. Should I say where?
I don't care.
Idaho Falls. Don't stalk us. Gosh. Unless you're not weird, then it's fine. What's your address? Nice try. Almost got us. How many kids do you have? We have one son.
One kid.
One kid's. And he's perfect.
He is kind of perfect, huh?
I know, that's why I don't want to have any more. Can't get that right. Perfect again. It just seems so unlikely.
I bet we can. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Favorite heathen drink?
Gin and tonic.
I think my favorite is chata colada with orange juice instead of pineapple juice. Just saying. Why are you so hot?
I was born that way.
Hey! Did your family micromanage you growing up?
Well, my mom made me do the dishes, if that counts. So now...
What a terrible mother.
Yeah, now I have dishes-related PTSD, and so I just can't do it anymore.
It's true. It's true.
No, not really. No. I don't think she did. No.
Jared probably has more dishes PTSD from me making him do the dishes. I'm like, we're reverse Mormons now. You do all the kitchen stuff.
Well, my mom didn't use a gun to enforce it, so...
What? When it came to micromanaging, I mean, my parents had some things they were very particular about, and then other things they weren't. Like, we weren't allowed to watch, like, Disney sitcoms, like Hannah Montana and stuff like that. Like, and then there was other things they were really lax on. Like, they didn't mind us doing certain things, like staying out late.
Yeah, you didn't have a curfew.
Yeah, I didn't have a curfew ever.
I did. It's a source of tension.
It is.
Mom. I guess I go through phases, I think. My mom went through, like, phases where but that's not really a Mormon thing, but, like, she didn't want us to say shut up or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's micromanaging, but...
Well, overall, we both had pretty great parents, so... How do you plan on raising your son faith-wise?
Southern Baptist.
Well,
I want him to praise the Lord.
You know, it's still something we're trying to navigate, like, but I definitely think we just want him to be able to feel free to explore whatever feels good to him.
I guess without religion, you have to have rationality behind all your morals. And there's, you know, a certain rationality behind the morals of religions, but I guess maybe it's a little more daunting, but also a little more fulfilling, because we can't just say because God said so. Yeah.
Right, we have to be pretty committed to our reasons behind rules.
Yeah.
I like the way you said that. I would do you.
Thank you. That brings us to our next question.
Does it?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll have more kids? It does. Mm-hmm. You know, it is cool, definitely, like, that we found ourselves on this journey when we did, because I think I would have felt a lot of pressure to have a lot of kids just because that's what you're supposed to do. And now it's like we get to choose. So, yes, I think we will have more kids just because we want more, but...
I was kind of not sure if I wanted kids at all. And then I was like, all right, we'll give this whole kid thing a shot. And then we had Lucas, and
now he wants like 80. He turned Mormon.
I know. I want 4 kids at least, because it's awesome. They're cool. And
Jared's a really good dad.
If money wasn't an option, I'd have like 12 of them.
You are so sweet. I love you.
Well, he's cool.
He's
my dude.
Jared loves being a dad, and it's like the most heartwarming thing ever. You wouldn't think that because of how sarcastic and ridiculous he is on this channel, but he's actually a decent human being, I swear. Okay, when will Sister Jensen come back?
Has it been a while, I guess?
You know, she's busy with her temple service. She's ministering to all the neighbors. Sister Jensen's always right around the corner, guys. Don't worry. Do you think that the Mormon Church is inherently misogynistic and patriarchal? If so, do you think that will change eventually?
Yeah, there's definitely lots of elements of sexism there. I mean, of course, a lot of that just goes back to, being a product of its time.
Very much so.
Part of the problem with Mormonism is that it's a little bit unique among Christian sects because it does claim to be the absolute only truth. There's a lot of them that say if you believe in Jesus, you'll be saved, even if you're a Methodist instead of a Baptist or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Well, Baptists are a little extreme, but
yeah.
But Mormonism, they believe, they put a lot of emphasis in having restored Jesus' gospel the exact way it was. So it's kind of a big deal when they change even minute little things.
Yeah.
So,
kind of leaves them trapped to not be able to, catch up with modern cultural norms.
Yeah. So it's possible, but it's kind of like with gay marriage, right? I remember being confused at thinking, okay, sure, we can say it's a sin, but I don't think we can legislate that. We got to let them get married or something like that. But still, if even then, if they had decided to allow gay marriage in the temples, I probably would have left it, not because that bothers me, but because, well, obviously they didn't restore the full gospel of Jesus if they made that drastic of a change to it.
Yeah.
So I think they've got that to worry about. Like, if they were to ever try to give women the priesthood, I mean, a lot of old school members would be bothered by that. They would...
Right. Because it makes you question, if this is God's church and it has been all along, why are there so many changes being made? Like, I get that.
It doesn't leave a whole lot of
wiggle room
for
yeah.
change.
Yeah. Do you like any Mormon YouTubers? We love Brother Jake. He doesn't post very often, but when he does, it is a holiday.
He's pretty great.
I've found a lot of help from Self on the Shelf as well. I actually went to school, and me and Tanner were in the humor code together one semester. That was back when we were both very TBM. Well, I guess he might have been questioning at the time. I don't really exactly know the timeline.
He might have gotten himself baptized into Denver Snuffers Church by then.
His hair was still short. That's all I know. And we love Sean and Crystal Escobar. They just started a Mormon Enlightenment YouTube channel. Oh, and a friend of ours actually has a YouTube channel called, I think it's called Misplaced Faith. Pretty new. He actually does animations with it. Really, really talented. Anyway, we'll have links to all that in the description below.
Yeah, he's got a good video on Pascal's wager.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to him. What's the most important benefit you've gotten from being a church member, and what's the most important benefit you've gotten from being an apostate? Their words, not mine. The most important benefit, I think, from growing up in the church was I did get a lot from the focus on the family teachings and, like, independence. They teach you to work hard, you know, and I think that's a beautiful thing, and I think I gained a lot from those teachings. And then the best thing I learned from being an apostate was learning to love myself and care less about what people think.
That's actually pretty much exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, focus on the family was great.
Cool.
I like that a lot. And then I was going to say, the biggest benefit of not being apostate is I don't have to hate myself into heaven anymore. That's nice.
Booyah. What did you do with all your Mormon things? Like your Book of Mormon, Pearl of Great Price, etc., things like that. Did you get rid of it? Was it hard? For me, when I tried to get rid of my stuff, even though it had been a year, it really hurt. It felt like I was throwing my life away when I put it in the trash. I feel you on that. And I also feel like I understand why people feel the need to get rid of it. It's kind of like a shaking loose from it. A lot of my stuff I've saved. Like, I've thrown away a lot of manuals and stuff that I don't think I'm going to use. But, like, I still, like, I'm always going to have, like, a special place in my heart for this, the scripture set that I got when I turned 8 and I was baptized and my grandma got it for me. And, I've got it all marked up. And, it tells a big part of my story, so I don't have any shame around it. I'm definitely going to keep it. I just probably won't read it a lot.
I would have wanted to get rid of it a few years ago, but now I just don't really care that much.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, my mission plaque is still hanging on the wall.
Our friends are making fun of us for that the other day. They're like, why is his mission plaque hanging out? I'm like,
right next to a picture of the St. Louis Temple.
Well, it has engraved on it the day we got married.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I don't want to get rid of it.
I understand that. It's not bothering me. I'm just saying
we're kind of weird, I guess.
Yeah, at this point, I don't really care. Except preach my gospel, I will burn that goddamn book.
That's so funny.
I hated that book on my mission. It was full of stupid advice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, our friends were making fun of us the other day, like, you got Ex-Mormon YouTube channel, you got your mission flag hanging up, and I'm like, I don't know, I guess we just don't have a lot of energy around it anymore, because we're just like, I don't know, I'm not ashamed of our past, you know? But I get it when people want to tear everything off the walls, and, like, I understand that. I understand. Something I've been struggling with, as you know, part of being raised in the Mormon church, you develop a very guilty conscience. Transferring out of the church, how did you cope with judgment from other people without having guilt anymore? Well, I had guilt for a long time. I still have guilt sometimes, but it's getting a lot better, and I think, in part, it's helped having Jared, because he helps me rationalize through things, like, should you really feel guilty about this? And I think one thing that helped me a lot, too, was, like, having a life coach to help me kind of work through the healing process. And I would do a lot of hypnosis and meditation, visualization, stuff like that to try to help get to the core issues and help clear those out. And then I just felt a lot better about myself and more confident.
It's something I think that ex-Mormons throw away without realizing it is they're so used to praying, and praying in like personal prayers, I think for most people become like a form of meditation, and once you leave, you stop praying, obviously, because you don't know if you're talking to anyone.
Yeah.
But fill that with meditation. I think it's very helpful to sort of grow as a person, because you still sort of need that introspection that prayer had previously given you. But I don't know, you could replace guilt with anger if you want to go the unhealthy route. Just kidding. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I only felt guilt in respect to like Morgan, like, because her eternal marriage was crumbling because
Right.
because I won't be there in the celestial kingdom and stuff. So that made me kind of feel guilty. But other than that, like, I don't know, I've always been kind of an outcast, I guess.
Yeah.
So
you were like, oh, it's not true. I'm free now. But then you felt bad because you knew I was hurting.
But I just mean I'm used to the whole being looked at weird thing. So I don't know, being judged doesn't bother me. It's really easy to be judged. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, true. Where is your spiritual life currently? Are you open to Christian teachings? Would you ever consider joining another church?
Probably a bit of an unpopular opinion among ex-Mormons, but I think Christianity is generally a good thing. I want most people in America to stay Christian, but I don't want to do it, you know?
And why is that?
I don't know. It's, there's sort of an emphasis on forgiveness in Christianity that hasn't been there in past religions, you know? And granted, it hasn't been there in a lot of Christianity historically, but I mean, just learning a bit about Norse and Greek mythology, they're very unforgiving thought processes, you know? They're
Sure.
like the Vikings believe that if you die in battle, then you go to Valhalla. That's their version of heaven. But in Valhalla, all you do is you fight.
Oh.
Like, you just fight with other people, and then when you die, like, you can get killed, and then you, at the end of the day, you're raised back up, and you eat in this giant hall, and then you fight again. Like, that's their eternity until Ragnarok comes, you know?
Yeah.
And then they have to fight a battle for Odin. Anyway, I think Christianity had some revolutionary ideas for its time, and obviously it might have took them a bit to apply those ideas. But spiritually, I don't really know where I am. Where are you spiritually?
After leaving the church, I kind of was like, okay, well, I think God is still real. But then I was like, wait a second. I have no reason to believe that he's real. And then I kind of, you know, I was like, remember, I was kind of tiptoeing in atheism. You remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, I want to believe in God, but I just don't know if I can. And I don't know. Then I just kind of started, like, doing a lot of, like, inner work, like in myself, and looking more into me and my journey and everything that's brought me here. And, like, I just started feeling more connected with myself and more connected with, like, my purpose in life. And that has kind of led me to believe that I do think perhaps God exists, and I just like the freedom of being able to be free-flowing in that worship, I guess. And, like, sometimes I'll pray and it's different than the way that I used to pray, because I don't pray, like, all the time over food and things like that. But if I pray, it's like I still, I don't know, feel that connection, but it's different because it doesn't feel like I'm ever praying out of obligation. Like, oh, well, God hasn't heard from me yet today. I gotta make sure that he knows I'm still remembering him. Like, I don't feel that, like, I just pray in times of need or in times of gratitude, and then I don't know, let it free flow.
Yeah, I think that also not going to be popular among ex-Mormons, but I think that the argument of objective morality is more convincing than a lot of other people think it is. I think that there probably is an objective morality, and it's hard to say that that could be the case without somebody actually making those laws.
I
But
see
I
what
don't
you're
know.
saying.
I could be convinced otherwise. Like, the Old Testament's neat. It's good to sort of study to see why people had those ideas, you know, and where they come from and stuff. The New Testament, though, like, while I don't think that it happened that way. I think there are some real gems in there that they're valuable enough that I think it'd be kind of dumb to just completely walk away from them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Would you ever consider joining another church? I don't see us ever joining another church, like, not to speak for you, but I think that we're always going to be more free-flowing. But who knows? I'm still very fresh into this, so maybe I would. I've visited a lot of churches. I'll probably continue to do that just because I'm interested in it. But I definitely feel like I'm not interested at the time right now in joining anything.
No, I don't really like going to organized religion, so
Yeah. Do you think the first presidency actually believes in Mormonism? So for those who don't understand what this question is saying, so we have the leadership of our church, like the prophet and the apostles, and this question is asking, like, do you think they actually believe it, or is it a conspiracy and they know that the church is fake and they're just trying to perpetuate this for some reason? For me, maybe I'm naive in saying this, but like, I would like to believe that they believe it, because I just feel like they're good people and they're just trying to spread what they believe is good. But I know there's a lot of people that think differently. I just haven't seen any like evidence to suggest that they don't believe what they're preaching.
As a general rule, I think they believe it. Like, I'm sure there have been maybe some general authorities in the past that didn't believe it, and maybe right now even. But I don't think it's like a conspiratorial thing. We had this perception that since they were prophets and apostles, that they had definitely seen Jesus' face, you know? They talk with him in the temple and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people take that and then they'll say, if they don't see Jesus in the temple, they've got to know that it's fake.
Oh,
right?
I see.
So I don't think that's the case. I think the amount of times I had experiences growing up and did my best to convince myself that they were miraculous spiritual confirmations that everything this church was saying was true, I think that other people do that too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Martin Harris.
And it would just happen even more and more and more the higher you got up in the church. And
yeah. And so I think, generally I'd say they most likely just believe in it.
Well, we could be wrong, but that's just our thoughts about it. Do you feel like the Mormon religion, or religion in general, promotes faster destruction of the environment because of the teaching that the planet is here for humans to use and the second coming will save the worthy? This is an interesting question. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about this, honestly, but like, I totally see where this question is coming from, and I definitely think that that's a possibility, I guess.
So there are obviously a lot of religious people, not to get like political or more right-leaning, right?
Yeah.
I do think that something that's kind of odd about that is that the religious people will get almost angry at environmentalism, you know?
Yeah.
If you're, like if you see someone driving a Prius, they'll make fun of them or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's always seemed a little odd to me, but I do think it's sort of the old adage that actions speak louder than words. I think you can tell a lot more about somebody by their behavior than by the things that they say.
Sure.
And growing up, I had those scout leaders that, they'd make fun of the guy for driving a Prius, but they would have us comb over every inch of our campground to make sure we didn't leave any trash there. They were very respectful of the environment in their actions, even though they might say that... Yeah,
that's a good point.
So, I don't know.
Well, I remember feeling guilty, like, if a piece of trash flew out of my car, I'd, like, run after it.
Yeah, but that's... And that's also maybe just American culture. Because I remember in Brazil, they're mostly Christian as well. And there's just a lot of trash everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, they would just throw it out. They didn't have the same sort of...
values.
Reverence for the... And I do think that Christians maybe need to... I don't know, put more emphasis on realizing that, okay, this is... God made us this planet, and
we should take care of it.
We should probably take care of it,
Yeah. And I think some sects do. It's just, it depends. But there is kind of, like this question mentioned, that undertone of like, well, God gave us this earth, so we could use it. And I could see how some people would take that to being, well, we don't need to worry about recycling because it's all going up in flames one day anyway.
Yeah, I mean, There are a lot of people think that the second coming's like right around the corner, so
yeah.
why would we, what point would there be in,
Yeah.
figuring out nuclear energy or anything like that?
Right. More sustainability. What was your experience of spiritual experiences that went toward your testimony to keep you going to church for so long? What did you think of them then, and what are your thoughts on them now? Even after I figured out all of the not so happy side of church history, I did feel like I was clinging to certain spiritual experiences until I realized, like, wait a second, maybe I'm just like a spiritual being that has spiritual experiences. And maybe that sounds cliche, but like whether it's elevation, emotion, or who knows what it is, but like when you sit down and you hear something that resonates with you, who's to say that like that can't happen regardless of like it coming from the one true source or not? Like, so to me, I guess the way I look at it is I still look at the spiritual experience I've had in my life as beautiful and as uplifting, because most of my spiritual experiences were like you are enough, like you can do it, or peace or whatever. And I'm like, that's all beautiful to me still, whether it was real or not. I'd like to think it was real in the sense that it helped me and that I still experience those feelings. I just look for it in other places,
A lot of people put, maybe religious people in particular, put maybe a little too much stock in personal experience. And I don't know, I always try not to do that. You kind of got to separate it and realize that your personal experience, when you feel that, sort of that feeling of elation, it does feel like something inside you telling you, this is correct, this is a correct principle. It doesn't mean it literally happened, because you can read things in the Book of Mormon that are inspiring.
Yeah.
Like, one of the most amazing cinematic moments ever is in The Return of the King, when Frodo and Sam are they're on their last leg. They are crawling up Mount Doom to go throw the ring in
Spoilers.
Spoiler, yeah. And Frodo collapses and he can't go on. And that part where Sam goes, I can't carry the ring for you, Mr. Frodo, but I can carry you. It just, it's
tears.
You get that elation, and it's
powerful.
It's like, this is powerful. It doesn't mean that two hobbits actually destroyed a ring that saved their entire world, but it means that what it's trying to tell you is something that's supposed to stir your heart.
Yeah.
It's something that it's a story of courage
and inspiration.
Yeah, and loyalty. Right. There's a lot to it. So you can take those feelings and you can run with them.
And you can appreciate them.
Yeah.
Like, without this lens of, like, I don't know, guilt and shame around what you're not doing or what you're not doing good enough or whatever.
Yeah.
Very poetically stated. Gave me chills. What would you say or do if missionaries came to your door?
When I first left it, I kept, like, wanting that to happen. Yeah. Because I felt so smart,
Smug.
Smug. I'd sort of have those conversations in my head. The missionaries come over and they're so we haven't seen you at church. I'd be like, I don't go because I'm smarter than you. And they would be like, why don't you go? Because you worship a pedophile or something stupid like that. But luckily I knew that that's a stupid way to act. So if they came over now, I'd probably like, I want to be nice to you. If you need somewhere to come slack off and play video games, I guess you can do it here, but I don't really want to talk to you for hours.
Right.
I got fun stuff to do.
I think, honestly, if I saw some missionaries coming over, I would be excited just to, like, say hi. Just because I'm genuinely, like, a pretty social person. I'd be like, oh, hey, people to talk to. And I think I would just be like, like, we grew up Mormon and, like, it's just not where we feel our values are anymore, but I'm super happy for you guys to join us for a meal or something. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm too friendly. Maybe I'd get their hopes up, but I don't know.
Yeah, don't... General advice, don't be a dick to missionaries.
Well, because they're just trying to do what they believe is right, and...
They've been pressured into... Being on a mission sucks. It's boring.
For some people, they enjoy it more than others. But generally...
All of you who said you enjoy your mission, you were lying. It's unenjoyable.
Oh my gosh, it was so ridiculous. What would you do if your child ever wanted to start attending the Mormon church?
It's not like a bad place. I can't like forbid him from doing that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's not your style. Jared's style is very much not pressuring anyone into anything. I
would obviously show him everything.
That's what I was going to say.
Here's the stuff. Here's the reasons why I don't go to that church, because I don't want him to have to feel like he needs to throw 10% of his money and 2 years of his life and all of this stuff. I'm sure he'll want to like go to social activities, and that's fine.
Yeah, I definitely don't care if he wants to, like, especially because we're in Idaho. Like, there's a lot of other Mormons. I'm sure he'll be wanting to go to Young Men's or whatever with his friends, and I'm like, I'm totally fine with that. Like, I think where I'm at, honestly, with it all is I've done a lot of healing around it. So I'm not so scared, like, either way. I'm like, I really doubt he'll ever join just because he'll know all the issues growing up. But if he did want to join, even though knowing the issues, I'd be fine with that. I would just be like, as long as you know this stuff, I'm fine if you want to be a part of it. I just think that you need to be aware of these things because I think it can help you from not having like a stick up your butt if you realize like that the church has a lot of good to offer, but maybe you don't have to like kill yourself over it because so much of it was decided by people who are imperfect. Anyway, I don't know. I'm kind of like leaning into this idea that like we're all on the path we're meant to be on. Like people who are Mormon, maybe like that, like if it works for them, that's okay. I don't know if that sounds bad, but that belief is comforting to me to think we're learning what we need to be learning on the journeys we're on. I just think that there's way too much pressure put on, like, this is the only way for you to do it. And that's what I don't like, because I just don't agree with that.
My dilemma here is they elevate the idea of humility, make it sort of the ultimate virtue. That
you can never have, because the minute you think you're humble and then you realize you're arrogant for thinking that you're humble.
But that's sort of their misconception on humility. There's a place to be humble.
Right.
Being humble is just not being an arrogant prick. That's all you have to do to be humble. And if somebody says, I'm a humble person, and they are a humble person, it's not arrogant that they know that they're humble.
Right, but it's viewed as arrogant.
But it is,
in the church.
And so I don't. There's you sort of have to put your face in the dirt and grovel, and I don't like. I hate the idea of any organization telling my son that he has to grovel.
Yeah.
And so I'm, going to do my best to teach him that he has
self-respect.
Yeah, that nobody gets to make you feel that way. Like stand up for yourself. And if I can, get those values into him, then even if he does join the Mormon church, he won't put up with that crap.
Yeah, that's a nux for that. Booyah. It's weird to think that, like, Lucas, our son, will be watching this one day, maybe, Yeah. And so that's interesting.
Hey, dude.
Assuming the second coming has happened by the time he's old enough to watch.
I don't know. Is Jesus going to get rid of YouTube?
I don't know. It seems like, is there more good or bad on YouTube? I don't know. Maybe he just gets rid of the ex-Mormon channels.
Censorship.
Are you open with your neighbors about the fact that you've left the church, or do you keep that private so you aren't treated differently for being ex-Mormon? I guess this is a kind of complicated answer to a simple question, because Jared, stopped going before me, so the ward kind of knew what was going on because we let the bishop know and everything.
I told the bishop because he was gonna give us a calling, and his secretary texted me and asked to meet with him, and then I was, well, can you give me the bishop's number? He gave it to me, and I just said, look, I don't want to... I'm not going to say yes to a calling because I don't go to church. I don't believe in it. Morgan still goes. But please, 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 for the love of God, do not put her in nursery because she's been in nursery for like 4 years. He was like, okay, I won't do that.
I was so tired of being in nursery at that point. We had just moved to our new house, and I was so scared that I was going to get... And it's not that there's anything wrong with nursery, but I was trying to make friends, and, like, you can't make friends when you're in nursery because you can't meet anyone. So I just didn't want to be in nursery anymore. So, yeah, Jared had my back on that one. Oh, so my neighbors, a lot of them think that I work on Sunday, which is not entirely not true. But I haven't been super forthcoming with it just because I really like them and I don't want... It's less of what they think of me. Maybe, I don't know, I could be disillusioned about this. But I don't want them to think I think bad of them because I think they're great. I love our neighbors.
Yeah, our neighbors
So
are
I don't
good.
want them to think I think bad of them. Is that weird? I don't know. Like, because, I mean, they know I don't go. So, like, they know something's up, but I think... A lot of them do assume, because I do travel a lot and I do work, and so I think they think I work on the weekends. But anyway, that's where we're at. If any of our neighbors are watching this, sorry, you had to learn out the hard way. What do Mormons think about other religions or about worldly or secular people? Now, this will vary depending on your family, because I grew up in St. Louis, again, is a much different dynamic than growing up here. And Jared's family actually, I think, has a better attitude towards Mormons than a lot of Idaho and Utah Mormons do. But yeah, I grew up like, yeah, we have the truth, so I think there was kind of a little bit of arrogance, like, oh, like we're God's chosen people or something. And so like I had other friends that were religious, and I remember kind of being taught that their churches like were good but didn't have like the full truth, so it wasn't like as good. But then I remembered interacting with them being like, wait a second, aren't we just all on team Jesus? Like, that seems pretty chill. Like, I remember thinking that. So, I think, I don't know, growing up in such a diverse city kind of helped me to shake loose from a little bit of the culture of like, well, this is the only true church, so the other ones are missing out.
I see this, honestly, on both sides. That living in a heavily populated Mormon area, there are people that don't deal with non-Mormons well. Like, they can be snooty toward them and stuff. There's definitely those people. Like, I remember even, like, a close friend of mine in church one day, we saw this boy from our school at church, and he had, like, a tattoo on his forearm, and she goes, what's he doing here? I was like, are you serious right now? and like, she felt kind of stupid about it and was like, okay, yeah, that was pretty crappy of me. And then anyway, I don't think I was judgmental. I mean, if I saw somebody buying beer, I was just like, oh, they must just not be Mormon.
Yeah.
They don't think that drinking beer is wrong, so I can't condemn them for not knowing that.
Jared had a much healthier attitude toward it than I think a lot of Utah or Idaho Mormons did.
Well, but at the same time, there's a little bit of it on the other side too, around here, honestly. I remember working at a movie theater when I was in high school.
Yes.
One of my friends that worked with me, he's like, got a tattoo. Want to see it? I was like, yeah, sure. And he pulled his sleeve up and he goes, it's a tattoo of the Grim Reaper flipping you off, and it says, judge this. And he's like, it's because I don't like judgmental people. And I was like, I
had no
Thanks for explaining
idea.
it. Yeah, Mormons are pretty judgmental. I was like, well, that's kind of a judgmental thing to say. And, well, not you, man. You're cool. You're different. You're cool. I was like, well, what about so-and-so? I went through and named off every person we work with, and for every person we worked with, he was like, no, she's cool too. But most of them, you know.
You're right. There is judgment on both sides. That's very true. And I think a lot of that comes from, like, you're just getting caught up on the little things. Because when it comes down to it, most Mormon people I've ever known in my whole life are very good people. They're very, like, trying to be, like, as genuine and kind and loving as possible. And sometimes they just get hung up on certain things. But I mean, you know, it's like, who doesn't get hung up on things, you know? I don't know. I just think that's part of the human experience, perhaps. But what's a hidden talent you have? It's hard to pick hidden talents because so many of my talents are just so obvious. I'm just kidding. Okay, hidden talent. You guys ready for this? Oh! Is it in the camera?
Yep.
So my dad... There it goes. So my dad was a really good juggler growing up, and he would always do like the Ward talent show, and he had this like 10-foot unicycle and would juggle and do that, and everyone thought that he was the coolest, because he is. Anyway, so that's how I learned to juggle. I'm gonna break something on camera. Oh! So yes, that's my hidden talent, juggling.
And I'm proficient at Smash Brothers.
He's actually, yeah, he's pretty good, actually. That is a very, very good, very hidden
Video
talent.
games.
No. Jared's good at guitar. He's got a band, actually. They play for fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
And they do great. He is talented. What are some of your hobbies? We both like playing music. I'm not near as good at guitar as he is, but I know enough that I have written some songs just for fun. I play a little bit of piano. So yeah, we both really love playing music. Lucas loves that. He'll come in dancing whenever we're playing songs. Yeah, I like swimming. I like making YouTube videos. Please excuse this brief interruption because our son woke up from his nap early. Good timing. Because our son just woke up from his nap, and we wanted you all to see him. And the next question is about him. So, good timing, buddy. Hey, give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Mwah, good job. Where'd you go? There you are. Oh. Okay. How do grandparents get along with Lucas?
They're obsessed.
They're obsessed. We live just a few minutes from Jared's parents, and they are so sweet with Lucas. They'll come over randomly and be like, we're taking him to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
They're so sweet. They help us out so much, and it's just amazing. I love watching your parents with him. My parents are great with him, too. We don't live near them, so.
Yep, he's got 5 aunts and uncles nearby. 6, I guess.
He is spoiled. And
he's the first grandkid, so he's on my side.
Perfect. This last question is, what is your opinion on the word of wisdom now, prior to being Ex-Mo? Now versus prior to being Ex-Mo. Do you follow it now? If not, do you still feel guilty? So, you know, I used to think the word of wisdom was like a commandment, and it was like, you need to follow this or God's gonna be upset with you. Yeah, there's Dada. Anyway, now I'm just like, oh, this is not a big deal. I felt very guilty for a while. I don't think there's anything I really feel guilty for now, though. Like, I'll drink coffee and alcohol, tea. I don't really care. I really rarely drink any of those, just out of preference. But I don't have an issue with any of them. But I did feel guilty for a while when I did.
I think it'd be good if the word of wisdom were more of a suggestion. And if it focused more on, you know, actually being healthy.
Yeah, yes, instead of like... Well, and I understand, like, avoiding some of these things. Like, avoiding alcohol is definitely, like, a healthy choice, but, yeah.
Lucas, say hello, everybody. Say hello.
I'm getting lipstick all over him. Just as a reminder, I do have an upcoming online masterclass I'm teaching called What to Expect During Your Faith Transition and 3 Pitfalls to Avoid. You're doing so good! That class will be live and interactive on Zoom, so come, share your story, or don't turn your camera on and just stay in the back and observe. It's going to be awesome, and I'm teaching that with my business partner, Angie Monco, who's been a life coach for 15 years. There's a link in the description below where you can sign up for that class, and it's November 20th at 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. Thank you so much for everyone for watching this video. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. I seriously cannot believe that it's been a year since I posted my first video and we have 3,000 subscribers now. Thank you so, so much. Thank you for all of your support. I mean, you guys have been there with me from the beginning. It feels like just on this journey with me. A lot of us have been on this journey together. So many of you have reached out and told me your stories. And it's just been beautiful being a part of that journey with you. Thank you to everyone who has supported us. And I am so glad that I've been able to support so many of you. It's meant so much to me. Okay, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Thanks, everyone. Mwah.